This video will show you how to replace the rear shock on a Chrysler 300. This is part of your rear suspension located behind your rear wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground and the suspension is hanging. To remove the wheel, we're going to remove all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts and we can get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, let's have a look inside this area. Now looking along where our lower control arm and rear shock connect, we have a piece of mounting hardware. Now we have an 18mm mounting nut on the rearward side, and as for this bolt, it has a head on the forward side. We'll be holding that with a 15mm. Continuing on, we have to apply support underneath this area of the lower control arm so we can remove the mounting bolt. When doing so, you want to be extremely careful that you're not in an area that's at a slant like this is here. Your jack could potentially slide. Just be extremely careful. We'll just lightly jack this up until we can remove our mounting bolt. Use a hammer and punch if necessary. Now we can make our way all the way up the rear shock to the upper hardware. Now in this area we can see 2 16mm headed mounting bolts holding this up to the body of the vehicle. We'll remove the pair. There's one. There's our second mounting bolt. Now we can see that this has separated. We'll carefully pull down on this, compressing the rear shock, and then we'll have to lift the lower aspect up and out of the lower control arm. Now at this point, we need to focus along the top of the rear shock. We have to dislodge the upper mount. Let's do that over towards the bench. So I'm over at the bench and I'm holding this with my vise. We're going to continue on by holding the shaft of our shock, and we have to use a 15mm to remove the mounting nut so we can get this off of here and transfer it over to the brand new rear shock. Now with that said, I'm just using a ratcheting wrench for the mounting nut and some pliers to hold the tip of the shock here, just right at the very end. At this point, we can remove all of this hardware. Let's get this off of here as well. And lastly, our jounce bumper. Now I've got my brand new shock in my vise holding it for me. Let's continue on with our rubber jounce bumper. We're going to take this and we'll carefully start sliding it into position. You can see this little lip right here on the shock. That's approximately where I want this to sit. Now let's get this in place. We have our shock cap, our washer, and our brand new mounting nut. We're still using our 15mm ratchet wrench. You'll notice as you attempt to turn this, it can only go so far, and then it starts turning the shaft of the rear shock. So we're going to have to hold that, just using my pliers. Now we can get this over to the vehicle. Prior to installation of any brand new part, of course, we're going to make sure we clean and inspect our mounting areas. We'll start up along the top at the body of the vehicle. Of course, we're not using any type of detergent which might make its way into the passenger compartment. Up inside this area, you can see some carpeting, and that's inside the trunk. just use a wire brush. We'll make sure there's no raised areas, which could create an area for moisture or debris to make its way up inside. Now this looks good. Let's make our way down to the bottom. Now we're going to have to gently compress our rear shock so we can install it. We're starting down along the bottom. As it expands, it's going to reach up to the body of the vehicle, and that's where we're going to continue on with our 2 mounting bolts. We'll start them both in, and then we can snug them up. Once they're both snug, the torque for those is 38 foot-pounds. Let's make our way down to the bottom hardware. It's time for the lower hardware for our lower shock to our lower control arm. We'll adjust the height of the lower control arm as necessary. As for our mounting bolt, that comes through from the front towards the rear. We'll start on the mounting nut afterward. It's getting close here. Now, before we tighten or torque any of these mounting bolts, we're going to bring the suspension into the ride height position. For that, I'm going to carefully raise my lower control arm up. After that, we'll tighten and torque. Now we can tighten and torque our shock lower mounting hardware. I'm going to hold my bolt head here. We'll snug it up, and the torque for this is 53 foot-pounds. Everything here is torqued. We can release pressure from underneath our lower control arm. One last quick inspection in this area, and we can reinstall our rear wheel. Once you have that in place, continue on to starting on all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts. We're going to bottom them out. We'll get the wheel safely on the ground and then torque each of them to 110 foot-pounds. We've got the wheel back on the ground. We'll be torquing these in a crisscross manner to that 110 foot-pounds. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished our installation on one side of the vehicle. Go over to the other side of the vehicle and repeat this exact same process. You always do them as a pair. After that, you're going to take your vehicle for a road test down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.